Hey guys, it's Amy with Conscious Companion. I'm here with Mr. Bo, our 17-year-old cat. 17-year-old cats, actually 15 and older, are considered geriatric. So Bo is representing a very common problem that we see in geriatric cats a lot at home. And unfortunately, one of the problems that I'm going to discuss are linked to very common animal myths, or myths that we as humans continue to perpetuate about them. And that is the idea that they're doing things out of spite, that they're doing things to be malicious, they're doing things to be vengeful or to get a reaction out of us. And that's simply not the case. It is absolutely not true. Animals do what works for them. Animals respond to their environment and react appropriately in their mind. They are not vengeful, malicious, spiteful species the way humans can actually be. And when we label them as anything other than an animal that's behaving accordingly to whatever their environment has kind of set them up to do, their internal environment or their external environment, we're labeling them and we're missing what could actually be happening within the animal or within the animal's environment. And it's not helpful for us, it's not helpful for them, and it's not helpful for the connection and the bond that we share with them. So one example of that happened recently in our home. My husband found a portable rug that had been saturated in one spot with urine. And in the past, that's something that only one of our cats has done, and it's always been Mr. Bo. In the past, it's been anything from a urinary tract infection or his inability to either access the litter box or use the litter box that he prefers. And so that happened recently, and my husband's thought was, why would he do this? The litter box was pristine. In the past, Bo's had an issue with not using the litter box and it wasn't perfectly clean. It's very common for many cats. We have multiple litter boxes on multiple levels of the house because we have multiple cats, which is actually what you're supposed to do. Just one litter box for each cat. It's much more complicated than that. That's another topic for another day, but the litter box was perfectly clean. He had multiple choices of litter boxes and it just didn't seem normal. And he's just been to the vet, so we knew his urinary blood and everything else was clear. So I looked at the litter boxes that he had available, and I realized, oh my gosh, how did I overlook this? The litter boxes that he had access to at night, which is when he urinated on the rug, did not allow him to gain easy access with this cast on his leg. He just recently had surgery to remove a mass, and this has greatly hindered his ability to navigate in and out of litter boxes and around our home. It never even occurred to me that even though we have very open, easy access litter boxes for another geriatric cat who has arthritis, he was still unable to navigate into that litter box. So if I had overlooked that, or I was not aware that I had not set him up for success, I would have immediately looked at the litter mat and I could have projected onto him, oh, he's just being malicious, he's just being vengeful, he's being spiteful, or he's trying to get our attention about something. Or I might have assumed he's spraying his territory, which that in itself is completely incorrect because he actually emptied his bladder on the rug. He was not spraying. So I realized my mistake. I knew to not label him or blame him or make him wrong for that behavior, and I rectified the situation by putting a very easy, a litter box that he had easy access to with this cast on his leg. So that's just one tiny example of the way that we can very easily overlook what's happening in the animal's environment and the individual animal's needs. Because every animal is different, every species is different. So every individual animal has their own particular preferences, needs. And we have to be aware of that as conscious companions. And so I realized what Bo needed, and I immediately adjusted the environment for him. And we set him up for success and ourselves up for success by doing that. And we haven't had any issues with him not being able to use the litter box again. So like I said, it's very important that we remember that our animals are not doing things out of spite. They're not trying to be malicious, and they're not trying to get a rise out of us. they're doing what works for them. And every time we label them as other than an animal, trying to cope and adapt in our human environment, we're doing them a disservice. And we're not actually being able to step back and look at the entire picture to understand what's happening. So I really encourage you with your pets to remember that whatever behavior you see happening, whatever behavior is, whether it's a medical issue or a behavioral issue, or an emotional issue, really try and step back and look at the whole picture and realize that, you know, labeling them and putting them into this perception of what you believe to be happening is really limiting what's actually happening in the environment. And it's your job as their guardian to step back and take an unemotional approach to the situation and figure out, how can I set them up for success? What can I change within the environment to help them? So just some thoughts for this week. I will post some more about cats and litter boxes in the future. But for now, remember that animals are doing what works for them. And hopefully you guys can work together to do what works for everybody in your home. So until next time, have a great week, everybody.